What's going on, everybody? You are watching the Bulls Report by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Seatman, and today's show is presented by PrizePicks. Now, coming up on today's show, the Chicago Bulls signed 3 players following the 2026 NBA Draft, and we'll get you guys everything you need to know on these 3 guys. Overall, I'm a massive fan of 2 of these players. I think 2 of these guys could potentially legitimately be on the Bulls' final 15-man roster once the season rolls around. So first guy we'll talk about here, Tobe Awaka, big guy from Arizona. He was their backup center this past season for Krivas, but he is one of the best rebounders in the country this past season. A great offensive rebounder, and they did sign him on a 2-way contract. So, listen, there's multiple types of contracts guys could sign right now. 2-way deals, they're probably going to be playing a decent amount in the pros. Exhibit 10 deals are necessarily just summer league contracts, and, you could potentially be on the G League team, but 2 ways, I could see a chance where Tobe Awaka ends up making the team. Now, he is a fantastic rebounder. He is a mammoth of a human being, as you guys see on screen right now. I mean, this guy is absolutely yoked, and he started off his collegiate career at Tennessee. Didn't play a whole bunch during his first couple of seasons, but then this past year, coming off the bench at Arizona, really, really solid guy. I mean, 9.3 points a game, 9.1 rebounds. Isn't that good of a rim protector, but he barely shoots the basketball. He is just really just a dirty work player, and he's extremely, extremely physical. Both defending the paint and finishing plays on the other end. He's got a constant motor, and he's willing to do all the dirty work. And he does struggle to work around his limited ball skills and offensive versatility. So, offensively, sometimes teams will just leave him alone, but he makes up for his offensive game with hitting the offensive glass, getting easy putbacks. He is a decent cutter. He does dive to the rim at a decent enough level. And, the guy that he reminds me of in the NBA is another yoked up dude, Isaiah Stewart. Now Isaiah Stewart is a lot more skilled than Tobe Awaka is at this point in their NBA careers. But in terms of just stylistic playing the game of basketball, very physical. He's a guy where you're obviously not going to run offense through him. He's not even going to be a guy you give low post touches to. He's just going to set screens, dive to the rim, rebound. Set screens, dive to the rim, rebound, and then also be one of the best defensive rebounders as well. Not the best shot blocker, can get lost in space a little bit, but some pros and cons. Obviously, toughness, a massive pro for him. He has this grit, he has this grind to him that I really, really, really appreciate. And it's a contagious toughness when he's out there on the basketball court. Just an interior presence as well. He can clear space with his hips. Speaks into him being a really, really good rebounder, good play finisher. Him diving to the rim, putbacks. He does have a decent enough touch around the rim where you're feeling good. Now, the connectivity offensively, he's not a guy where you feel comfortable even swinging the ball to at all, and he can't really do dribble handoff actions. He's just a screener and a roller to the rim. And I think with having a niche role in the NBA, he could find some success. Now, it has no outside touch whatsoever and really no ball skills. So it is just a dirty work player. That is who Tobe Awaka is. Now, funny enough, Bulls fans yesterday and even this morning, still complaining that the Chicago Bulls traded pick number 38 for the 38th pick last year in the 2026 NBA draft, and people just weren't happy about it. And, listen, I get it from a fan's perspective. You're excited about round 2 all day, and then the Bulls going into the draft had 2 selections in the second round, end up not drafting anybody. So fans are just naturally going to be upset when that ends up playing out. But funny enough, ESPN, I think it was 3 separate mock drafts, actually had the Bulls taking Tobe Awaka at pick number 38, not even pick number 56. They thought this guy could have been a top 40 pick, and the Bulls got him as a UDFA. I think he adds to a pretty solid center rotation. I mean, all of these guys are physical. All these guys are, big human beings. Now, Jaylen Smith's the only one that really has an outside jump shot, even though Nick Claxton did step out, take a couple of threes this past season. But Tobe Awaka falls into that, Isaiah Stewart mold, physical, can really be a physical presence. So that's a solid addition to the Bulls center room. And I do think he's got a good chance to be the 3rd center on the roster moving forward. Now, we'll talk about one of my favorite guys here. Jaylin Sellers. Bulls picked him up from Providence. He's an absolute dog, so stay tuned for that. But I do want to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is our good friends at PrizePicks. And if you guys use that promo code HMA, we'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks is the best place to win cash watching sports. The app is incredibly easy to use. Just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. PrizePicks is available in most states, including California, Texas, Florida, Minnesota, New York, and Illinois. And it makes watching my favorite sporting events that much more enjoyable as I follow my lineup throughout the entire game. And you guys can also combine a bunch of different sports for your lineups. Like here we got golf, we got some soccer action. You guys can get, baseball in there, football in there, whatever it may be. You guys can combine lineups from a bunch of different sports, but you guys can also follow me on the app if you would like. The handle is at PatSieps, PATSIEPS, to see all my lineups there. But sign up for PrizePicks with that promo code HMA. We'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups instantly when you put your first $5 lineup. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show. But a massive, massive shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's edition of the Bulls Report. Shout out to them. Now, also, I do want to talk about the Chicago Bulls potentially moving off Jaylen Smith here real quick, and then we'll dive into Jaylin Sellers, who I'm absolutely sold on. But Jaylen Smith, the Lakers are calling on him, so I could see maybe the Bulls are really high on Tobe Awaka, and maybe they could get like a couple second-round picks, maybe a player, and maybe a protected first-round pick for Jaylen Smith, even though I think it's unlikely. But the Lakers need a center, and they're desperate for a center, so maybe you could fleece them for a first-round pick, but just the reports are that they are calling the Bulls on their backup center. But I'll ask you guys this. Would you trade Jaylen Smith? Give me a T for trade. Give me a P for pass. I would prefer to keep him, but if you get a protected first, I think you have to do it. But you guys chime in down below. It's the time to move on. Would you trade Jaylen Smith? All right, so the guy that I'm most excited about here out of all three of these guys, Jaylin Sellers. If you guys want to, I don't know if you're in high school or you're going to the barbershop and you're just talking about the Chicago Bulls and you want to have just some random guy in a two-way contract to prove you know ball a little bit, hype up this guy, Jaylin Sellers. Buy stock now because I think he's got a legit chance to be an NBA player. And not just like a guy who's on the end of the bench, but I think a legit player who can play in playoff rotations. Because as simple as this, he's got an NBA build and he's got an NBA jump shot. Other parts of his game, like the playmaking, defensive playmaking, definitely an issue. But he can move his feet, he can keep guys in front, and he's a hell of a three-point shooter. He took 5.6 attempts from downtown this past season and shot almost 43%. That is absolutely ridiculous. I think, there's a huge difference than 43% from downtown, even 40% from downtown. He was one of the best shooters in the country this past season, and he kind of reminds me of a couple of guys. He's in this little Grayson Allen, Norman Powell archetype of guard where very big, very physical, strong, has a huge, motor to him, but also just dead eye from downtown. And that's who's Jaylin Sellers is. And I can't wait to watch this guy in the summer league. He's gonna light it up there. See a little Brandon Williams with his handle a little bit. So that's why I decided to include him here. But really Norman Powell. Then best case scenario, he ends up being a player like Grayson Allen. But I'm all the way on Sellers. Now he's got great positional size. He's 6'5". 210 pounds, very, very big. And he'll probably end up playing the two guard in the NBA. So he's physical at that spot. An elite three-point shooter. And also, when guys are elite three-point shooters, sometimes their shot selection can be incredibly poor. That was not the case with him. He's almost like a selective chucker, if that makes sense. If he gets an inch of space, he is putting that up. But if he doesn't have space, he's not going to force anything. So having that combination of being a high volume, but picky, efficient three-point shooter, you rarely see that. Now, like I was saying, defensive playmaking, he's not going to be a guy that's going to pick your pocket or run out in transition and get plays going the other way. Playmaking doesn't really offer you any of that, and then he does struggle finishing at the rim. But this is what No Ceilings had to say on Jaylin Sellers, saying if you can shoot and hold your own on the other end, you can play meaningful minutes in the NBA. Sellers does more than enough of one and enough of the other to satisfy that demand. So listen, I'm all in on him. Sellers is going to be a guy in the NBA. I think he was going to make the team. And just the jump also we saw, he was barely a 5-point a game guy. Then he jumps all the way up to 18 a game. Having that leap, that speaks to his work ethic. Great jump shot, selective shooter, but also a high volume, high efficiency. You don't get that combination too often. So I'm all the way in on him. Now, another guy that I am intrigued by, don't think he has a good enough chance as the other two in terms of making the roster compared to Tobe Awaka and Jaylin Sellers. But Donovan Atwell, we had Donovan Atwell pretty high on our big board. A little shocked that he did go undrafted, but he started off his collegiate career at UNC Greensboro. Then he transferred to Texas Tech. His past season at Tech, hey man, you talk about a hell of a three-point shooter. That's Donovan Atwell. Like we just talked about Sellers being a great three-point shooter, shooting 43% on 5.5 a game. Can I interest you in 8.4 three-pointers attempted on almost 46% from downtown? But it wasn't just his past season. He's been doing this for 3 seasons in college basketball. The attempts are ridiculously high. He's a ridiculously high great three-point shooter. And everybody was complaining, Bulls don't have shooting. Bulls don't have shooting. Well, you pick up Sellers, you pick up Atwell, and your UDFA class starting to build something here. And these could be guys off the bench for the Bulls that could play some big-time minutes. Now, this is what No Ceilings had to say on him, saying a consistent, high-volume perimeter shooting threat with movement shooting versatility. His offensive value stems from being a decision maker, while his defensive activity, knock down floor spacer and improve, gives him some pathway towards being more than just a one-dimensional specialist. So they see a little more than just a shooter for him. But I will say this. The Bulls Summer League roster is going to be electric. I'm assuming Cam Jones ends up playing in the Summer League. I wasn't confident in putting him on this, but I'm assuming he is. But Asenge will be out there, 12th overall pick last year, the 4th overall pick this past season in Caleb Wilson. And he got Jaylin Swain, Tobe Awaka, Jaylin Sellers, Donovan Atwell. Excited for those guys. And he got Leonard Miller. I'm guessing Leonard Miller will get some run in the Summer League. And you got the guy that set the table, Yuki Kawamura. I'm excited to watch him play. And then your second-round pick from last year, Lachlan Olbrich. Like, that's a very, very good Summer League roster. And the Bulls, I think with this team, they got some chance to make some serious noise in the Summer League. Like, I would not be shocked if the Bulls go out there and win it. And what a great start to the Tiago Splitter, Bryson Graham era in Chicago. And you know what? Knowing the way that Caleb Wilson guy and how he's wired, knowing how Jaylin Swain is wired, if they're letting them run 30 minutes a game, they're going to do everything they can to win this Summer League. So I can't wait for it. We'll be going live here on the channel for all of those games. So I'll ask you guys, will you watch the Bulls Summer League games this upcoming season? Not this upcoming season. It starts in a couple weeks here. Give me a Y for yes, give me an N for no, and we'll get on out of here. As always, go Bulls.